What's going on, guys? Last week I got a question about a pending contract renewal for BWXT Nuclear here in town. It got me thinking a lot about who Peterborough's major employers are, how resilient we are in terms of a city and our employment base for a potential pending economic downturn. And I wanted to take a dive into the numbers. So I went on to the Peterborough and Kawartha's economic development website, went through a couple of reports and distilled a bit of the key information. And we're going to take a dive into who Peterborough's major employers are and a bit about Peterborough's employment numbers. Let's get into it, guys. Okay, guys, so we are going to dive into who the major employers, industries, and what the major occupations are in Peterborough, Ontario. Let's start with a quick bullet summary of what we're going to cover, and then we'll just move right along. First of all, how is the employment rate in Peterborough, and how does that compare to Ontario as a whole? What industries are the jobs in? How does it compare to Ontario as a whole in terms of what industries our major employers are? What changes are we seeing? And considerations about our ability to weather an economic downturn. Okay, information sources. All of my information from this, I looked at StatsCan a little bit, but to be honest, for the most part, my information is almost completely from the Peterborough and Kawartha's Economic Development Office website. This is a great website. I'll provide links below, but all you got to do is go up top on their page, click Report Builder. You're going to see this and many other reports. So these two are the main reports that I reference, which are the Regional Economic Development Report Profile and the Peterborough and Kawartha Situational Analysis. And they're both awesome reports. So how is employment in Peterborough? So first off, in terms of by the income numbers, the median household income is $64,000, a little over $64,000 there. I did the math on this, and sticking with the bank's gross debt service ratio that they're going to want you to stay under for your mortgage, that means that most people in terms of the median household income are going to be able to purchase something right around that $400,000 range, which makes sense with our average price closer to the $450,000. We have an average price and the median household income are pretty well in step there. 58% of residents in Peterborough and the Kawarthas are employed. This includes anyone over the age of 15. Now, this is less than on the Ontario average of 61%, but you also need to bear in mind, in terms of our demographics, we do have an older population than Ontario as a whole and many more retirees. So I think that when we look at it that way, we're very close in terms of our employment numbers. Now, it's important to note that an employed person is not the same as a job in the region because some people commute to work from Peterborough. So when we look at that 58%, doesn't mean that those are all jobs available in Peterborough. A lot of people commuting to the Durham region and Toronto. Now, in terms of a quick note on the demographics, I'm going to cover that in next week's video because in order to keep this video short for you guys, it's just too much to cover in one topic. So we're going to look a little bit deeper into demographics next week. On to the next slide. Peterborough and the Kawarthas jobs. This is a table that shows our estimated jobs in Peterborough and the Kawarthas throughout the years. We have 2001, 2006, on to 2016. And what's of note is that the estimated jobs hit a peak in 2006, and you see that they've been slowly on a decline there from 2011 to 2016. Not by much, but no job growth. What industries are the jobs in? So this is the labor force by industry. When we look at the largest, we have healthcare and social assistance is number one. A close second is retail trade. The third is educational services. Fourth is manufacturing. And five, accommodation and food services. Obviously here we have several others. Construction is a close honorable mention there, as well as public administration. There's a lot of other types of employment, but I just wanted to hit the high notes so that we can talk about what this means for our city moving forward. And in terms of people looking from the outside in to invest here, or who our employers are to investigate, these are the big areas to start looking. Employed residents by industry. Employed residents of Peterborough and the Kawarthas by industry, sector, and occupation. So this mirrors very closely. The other one was about the labor force, and this one was about who's actually employed in which industries sector in their actual occupation. So on the left here, we have more the industry, example, construction, educational services, and on the bottom is more to do with the specific occupation within that. And a lot of the same applies, showing that the healthcare and social assistance is where the bulk of the jobs are. And then retail trade, very strong. And when you follow this heat map, you do see construction shows up pretty strong up there, and as well as the food and accommodation services, obviously with our surrounding lakes and travel and tourism industry. Okay, our biggest employers. So major employers in Peterborough and the Kawarthas. This list right here is accessible on the report that I'm going to add a link to the web page in down below in the description. And this is going to give you a good look. Aon, BWXT, Fleming College, Flying Colors, General Electric, McCluskey's, on and on. I won't bore you with that whole list. That's a good look at who our major employers are in the city if you're looking to try and find a job here or analyze what's happening with our jobs. Interesting notes: business owners, new residents, and the innovation cluster. It's worth a mention that 50% of Peterborough and the Kawartha businesses are owner-operated. I found that very interesting. Great entrepreneurial spirit. And Peterborough has the highest rate of immigrant entrepreneurship in Canada. I think that's pretty cool. 36% of new Canadians in Peterborough own their own business. That's a massive percentage of people moving here as new residents and starting up a business. So that's great. And then innovative minds. Of course, we have to mention the innovation cluster, which is a great resource here in Peterborough. So an example is innovative clean technology companies in areas such as clean tech, ag tech, and healthcare can find support locally at the Innovation Cluster, a non-for-profit organization that provides advisory services and access to angel investment. So that's worth checking out for anybody who's looking to move here or start a business here. And just a general note about some of the support services we have for entrepreneurs and innovators in Peterborough. How do we compare to Ontario? Okay, this is industry location quotient relative to Ontario and nationally. So you see this is a quotient less or greater than 1, just showing our concentration as an industry, sort of level it out and regulate it over our population as a percentage. And what you can see is that we largely outdo Ontario in terms of our concentration in these sectors: utilities, mining, quarrying, and oil and gas extraction, healthcare and social assistance, of course, agricultural, forestry, fishing, and hunting, admin and management for waste support services, construction, and then these ones we're not massively outnumbering. We're starting to get closer to equal, but arts, entertainment, and recreation, of course, with our lakes and tourism, and then educational services, retail trade, we're slightly over the average. And then we start to get closer to par here, and you'll notice that some of the key ones, for example, manufacturing, it shows that we have less of a concentration here, which is interesting to note because manufacturing is actually one of our bright points. So moving onward here, what changes are we seeing? Sector shift analysis. So this is a part I took directly out of the report, and one thing that's noteworthy, like I mentioned before, is that our strengths relative to Ontario, even though manufacturing as a whole, as a concentration, is less than Ontario, we're showing more of a growth trend than Ontario as a whole. So you can see here that sort of in the deep purple, right at the top, manufacturing, wholesale trade, healthcare and social assistance, retail trade are our strong points, and we start to go back down to the average or below the average with some of these other industries that aren't in a growth phase. So industry sectors summary: base and growing. These are all of our base services which are still showing growth and are showing themselves as what's going to continue to be our main sources of employment moving forward as a city. Healthcare and social assistance, agricultural, forestry, fishing and hunting, arts, entertainment and recreation, admin and support, waste management services, retail, trade, and other services, public administration. That's a typo there. Okay, so considerations about weathering a downturn. So I just wanted to take a look at, with everything going on and a potential downturn, how are we poised to weather it as a city in terms of our employers' resilience? And of course, our healthcare is a massive bright spot because that's only going to continue to grow, especially as more retirees move here, and especially the basis of this whole thing being a pandemic. Healthcare is of absolute top concern, and the fact that it's one of our main employers and employment industries is a great note. Retail, of course, is the close second, and that one is the one that we're the most worried about, how businesses are going to be able to adapt in these times, and how quickly we're going to be able to get some of these small retail businesses and retail in general back up and running, in terms of being able to compete with online providers and just really keeping the demand up in general when people might be concerned about their financial situations. Manufacturing, we are growing quicker than the Ontario average for manufacturing. Now, we actually have shown a bit of a percentage drop, but it's less than Ontario's overall percentage drop in terms of our manufacturing jobs over the years, looking back from 2001. So manufacturing, obviously, that's potentially going to be a bright point for us moving forward, but we need to worry about the demand side in terms of some of the products that are being shipped out, in terms of these employers to continue to be able to grow and provide new employment in Peterborough. Education, there seems to be a strong shift already in terms of enrollment in summer programs for students that are placing a high value on education in times right now when they might not be able to find employment. So I think that as long as the sort of sports faculty and a lot of the other administrative services that are to do with the physical location of the schools and the universities and post-secondary are going to be able to find ways to adapt, then education is going to continue to be a strong point, because I think a lot of people are going to continue to go to education in a time when they might need to retool their skills. And when, frankly, if they can't make any money, they might as well continue to upgrade. So I think a lot of people are turning to education, and it could be a bright point for us, considering how much of an emphasis we already have on education here. Tourism and travel, this one's sort of up in the air. Of course, our form of tourism with the lakes and everything does allow for some social distancing. And I think one of the big things is going to be how comfortable people are with spending the money on tourism travel in these times when their own employment might be uncertain. So in terms of this as a major employer for us, I don't know, what are your guys' opinions on its ability to weather some economic hardships here? And then demographic considerations. This one I wanted to mention because, like I said, I'm going to do a video on demographics separately, but we do have an aging population. So in terms of our whole economy, we could have a continuing growth of people moving here to retire. They bring with them money that they spend. They buy homes when they're migrating in from other areas in Ontario, and they don't take jobs away that local residents could have had. So all in all, our demographics are, I think, a positive note. And I want to know what you guys are thinking. We do have that aging population. Healthcare is going to continue to be strong for us, and I think people are going to continue to look at Peterborough favorably as a place to retire, which is going to create a bunch of more support services in the future going forward. So anyhow, guys, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you for the questions. It's really helped me shape knowing what you guys want to see in these videos. Subscribe if you're interested in seeing more Peterborough content. I'm putting out monthly real estate market update reports, and I'm trying to really shift my content towards real estate investing and information about our local economy. So thank you to everyone also at Peterborough and the Kawarthas Economic Development Department for the great reports and resources. You guys really got to check out their website, and I am grateful for how really professionally done those reports were done. They've been a huge help in terms of my own understanding about what's going on in our city. So that's it, guys. We'll see you next week. Thanks so much for watching.